until the end of the year. Joining me now, the Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg. Treasurer, morning to you. How will these Moderna doses be used? Will they be prioritised for people under 60?
Well, we'll make them available across the population. There's about 1 million of those Moderna doses that is coming in September. This is an mRNA vaccine. Koch, as you know, it's been rolled out in the United States with great success. More than 140 million doses have been used in America with 100% efficacy preventing death and about 98% efficacy preventing serious illness. So that will be part of our portfolio approach to vaccines. Of course, we've got the AstraZeneca vaccine rolling out as well as the Pfizer vaccine, and we'll make the Moderna vaccine broadly available.
OK. The Prime Minister says the Commonwealth won't be making vaccinations mandatory. Why?
Well, we have a broad principle with our vaccination program that the vaccines are both free, but they're also voluntary. Now, there are some exceptions with respect to workers in aged care as well as in quarantine. Now, whether an employer can make a reasonable direction to their employees to receive the vaccine will very much depend on the individual circumstances in that case. Now, Safe Work Australia and the Fair Work Ombudsman have both provided information and guidelines, and it will depend, for example, whether the employees in that business are public-facing, whether they're dealing with vulnerable cohorts of workers or people, customers who may come into get the COVID virus, or indeed other relevant factors. OK,
so I've got a mate in a nursing home. I can't visit him unless I have a flu shot. They won't let me in. Can I sue the nursing home for being discriminatory against me if I don't have one? When we went to Rio for the last Olympics, you made me, the government, have a yellow fever injection and you wouldn't let me back in unless I had one. Can I sue you? What if I get sick from a colleague here that's unvaccinated, even though I'm vaccinated? Can I sue my employer? You see what I mean? This is just, I reckon this is stupid. You've got to give clear guidelines to say that people should be vaccinated. It is a health emergency.
Well, Kochie, as I said, it will depend upon the individual circumstances of that particular business, that particular workplace. Well, if you look at the Safe Work Australia guidelines, if you look at the Fair Work Ombudsman guidelines, which I did last night, and it made it very clear that it does depend on the situation. So if you've got, if you're dealing with vulnerable cohort of people, or if your employees are public-facing, or a range of other factors that are at play, that will go to whether it's reasonable for an employer to make that direction.
OK, I think you're hanging employers out to dry here by not being definitive, because there are lawyers even said, you know, the shark-type lawyers sending around things at the moment saying, if your boss makes you get the vaccine, you can sue for breach of contract. Or I read one that said you can sue for assault. It's unfair for employers that you can't be definitive about this.
Well, again, we're working through these issues, but we have a broad principle, and that broad principle is that the vaccine is voluntary, not mandatory. Now, we obviously have made some exceptions in some particular areas, as you expect us to do, namely quarantine and aged care. As for other areas, it's going to go to the reasonableness of that direction by the employer. All
right, we'll agree to disagree on that. Economy, New South Wales lockdown extending. Are we going to go into recession as a result of all of this?
Well, again, the September quarter is likely to be negative, where the economy will contract, and that's a function of seeing our biggest states in lockdown. The median market expectation, Kochie, is for the economy to contract by 1.5% in the September quarter. To put that in context for your viewers this morning, the economy contracted by a full 7% in the June quarter last year, when the virus was at its peak across the country. We've also seen consumer spending, so bank data showing that it's 30% higher today than it was in April last year, and consumer confidence is more than 50% higher today than it was in March last year. So there are some very big challenges for the economy, but I want those people watching your program this morning to be confident, to be optimistic, and to know that there is going to be light at the end of this tunnel.
Oh, let's hope so. It all depends on vaccination. Don't be afraid to be tough.
It does.
Get tougher. All right, Treasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for...
Go and get the jab, please,
Right.
to
Make us
everyone
do
who's
it.
watching.
All right. Thank you, Treasure. Here's Nat.
Thank you.